Welcome to a video on custom or a live stream on custom properties. I don't know exactly where we're going to go today, but I figured we would kind of take what we had yesterday, which is just these two avatars, and just play with what custom properties look like for those. I know that custom properties are kind of like a newish thing. Um, oh, I am wearing green. Actually, yeah, my child. So Adam, I have a little bit of green on right now. The shirt has these like leaves and stuff. My son actually did kind of. I emerged from the cave and he started pinching me like crazy, and then my daughter brought me something green to wear as like a shield. It was super cute. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go and just kind of look at like what it would look like to kind of style these with custom properties. Now, custom properties are kind of new, and so your browser or your browser support or state of browser support might not support them by default. Fortunately, they're kind of cool in that they can be used as a progressive enhancement. This might not work. I guess there are ways in which it kind of wouldn't work very well as a progressive enhancement. But you can also use tools like I think it's like CSS Next or something to compile all of these styles to support the browsers. And I know for me personally, I would much rather use standards than something like Sass just for variables. So I really like writing in just kind of the standard language, even if I'm in a scenario where the browser isn't going to support custom properties. Um, I think we can see real quick. Let's see. CSS. Oh, that's weird. It's that full screen thing. Not liking it. CSS custom properties. Let's check out the browser support. Yeah, go down to the bottom here. So yeah, basically Internet Explorer is out. So if you have to support any version of Internet Explorer, supported in all modern browsers. Yes, David, absolutely. Uh, Internet Explorer, some people still have to support, which kind of sucks. But again, you can compile these down instead of using Sass or whatever. So I just want to give you kind of like a general intro into like what this might look like, how I kind of use them, and yeah, we'll just kind of have a good time. Yes. Used in YouTube. I didn't know that. That is one really cool thing, actually. Let's see. I mean, hopefully, CodePen has some. If you open your browser, yeah, not right now. You'll be able to see a section that just kind of like shows like if any of them are defined in the root or on certain elements. You'll be able to see those custom properties. They're like with a dash dash, as you'll see. So let's do this. So I had this square image right here, and I thought it'd be kind of fun since these are squares and the height and the width are always going to need to match to just define that as like a shared custom property, which would be really nice instead of having to like define it twice. So and the reason being is like if we go and we want to make like multiple sizes for this, so like let's say we have some kind of constrained design system that specifies what sizes these can be presented at in our application. Um, well, it'd be nice to not have to specify two things to like override those styles. It'd be nice to just have one thing since this is a square. So let's do that. Oh man, some of these Vim commands don't work in CodePen. So all custom properties are going to have this like dash dash prefix. It's kind of like a dollar sign in Sass, but it's CSSE. And I'm going to say, let's just call this like avatar. And I'll do like another dash and like a size. Now, my understanding is that you could use like an underscore here, or like in our applications, I use like a double dash. This is really all your preference. As long as you got this and you're using supported characters, like you can't use a colon or like a backslash or anything like that, you're good to go. So let's do that. So anything that we're going to like be using these variables on these custom properties, any place that we want to spit that out, we actually have to wrap that in var. So we're saying we have a variable and we want to like calculate it effectively right here in this spot. So we got that. Whoops, screen brightness. And we'll put that right there. Now, the reason I went with size is because it's neither height nor width. Because it's a square, the dimensions are going to be the same on both. So I went with size because it is the absolute size of that thing. Now, the cool thing is that now from the outside, I can specify this size if I want to. So I think I already have a style attribute on here. Yep, I do. So let's say avatar size. We're going to set that to what we had before, like 200 pixels. Did it work? It did work. Look at that. Nice. Now, the cool thing is that we can kind of set this to whatever we want. It doesn't have to be a specific size. So now we have a 300 pixel by 300 pixel avatar. Now, you might not necessarily want to like define these as kind of like inline every time. But yeah, that's just to show you like how these things kind of work is that we have this kind of we open up like a gap effectively to say, hey, you can define this however you want in scope, and that'll be that. Now let's say we wanted to provide like a default. So the way we would do that is there's this kind of root, I don't know, is that pseudo class or something, which applies to the entire document. Now I'm going to use a lot of, like when I just said pseudo class there, like that's probably the wrong thing. I apologize if you're in chat and you know exactly what that thing is called. Please tell us. So if we want to, we say like, hey, really like most of our avatars are going to be 200 pixels. That seems kind of weird, but let's just go with it for now. We can set that as a default. So say avatar size is 200 pixels. Now you'll notice that I'm using the custom property, I'm defining it here, but then I use var to use it. Yeah, so David says that the only, here, let me pop up chat. So David says that the only inline styles that he uses are CSS vars, and like I actually like totally agree. There's something really nice about having a like I guess like defined API for this component. They're kind of like props or variables in a way, and having this defined in such a way that it can be defined inline is really cool because these are like you can grep for these later on, unlike an inline style where someone might like write property colon, and then the rule, or like property colon space and the rule, or like two spaces. Like there's no way to really search for those things later, but there is a way to search for these, which is awesome. So again, so when we define it, we just write it bare like that, dash dash whatever. We give it the value. And then when we use it, we use var. So we like call this var function. It's kind of like calc if you've ever used that. And then that's just going to evaluate whatever that value is. So that's pretty sweet. Now let's see. It looks like I did something wrong. Oh no, I'm setting size. Okay, so I had forgot that I did this. So we're setting this root size, and that's actually like kind of applying this size. Wait, not the container. Let's do the same thing for this image container. Var avatar size. It should pop into place, I think. Oh. Okay, cool. So now we have both our like square image class and our square image container class, the one that's supporting this, where we have an image that's just going to be like 100% of its container. We're specifying the size of like what that should be. So we're using this CSS custom property across both of these now, which is awesome. Now, because we have it defined in the root like this, this one right here is going to be 200 pixels. But then this one, where we're like defining that in line, is 300 pixels, which is pretty neat. Now, let's say we have kind of like a design system, and we want to make a bunch of these. Let's take this out. We say like, hey, we want to actually make this interesting. My recorder just turned on for some reason. Weird. So we have so we want to actually like formalize this now. Like, okay, like we have these avatars, we have this 300 pixel one. It's time for us to like start thinking about this in terms of like a system. Like, how can we actually like integrate that? So we could do something like this. We could have like avatar. I don't know. However you name things is really up to you. But let's say like size small. That seems to be kind of like a fairly conventional way to name some of these things. So let's say like, okay, so the small avatar will make that, I don't know, like 32 pixels, or what is that, 2 rems, which is a better value. Now we can start kind of like using this places. So we'll say like this is avatar size small. Not sure why I capitalized that. What's that? A medium, large, and extra large just for fun. Okay, so it didn't do anything yet. Obviously, we haven't defined these, so let's get to it. Let's see, a couple things real quick. Let me head over to chat. Oh shoot, yeah, I'm on the wrong screen. Oh my gosh, sorry. Thanks. Sorry. I'm so bad at this. So bad. Who knew I could be so bad at this? Okay, so to catch you up, I just duplicated, let's see, yes, I'm on the right screen now. I just duplicated all of these components, and then I added this kind of like avatar class real quick. Now, in the class, I'm not actually defining what the height and width are. I'm just defining what the value is in terms of the custom property. So I was doing it inline over here because we didn't have like a system at the time, but now we're going to start like fleshing out like what that system looks like. So we have so I created these classes, avatar size small. I'm going to make a couple more of these. This is going to be medium, large, screw extra large. I don't want to do that. Okay, now I've done something wrong here. So that's problematic because they keep disappearing every time I add that class. So let's find out what that is. I'm going to position. I'm going to remove this just for so those examples can be a little bit shorter. For some reason, it didn't like the object position I had. Interesting. I'll have to dive into that later. So now we have these extra classes. We have avatar size small, size medium, size large, and we're using the custom property to define what those sizes are. So let's say this is 4 and then this is 8. I don't know. We'll just do something kind of modular like that. Cool. So now we're using these custom properties to actually like implement our like design system, if you will. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Now the cool thing about this is that these classes kind of like act as like a guard effectively. So if we don't have the class, well then that like default is going to fall into place. Okay, pretty neat. Now I want to show you one other thing that I find just really fascinating. This is going to be pretty short. It'll be like 25 minutes. Something that I find really fascinating is that we can actually kind of like with the way that custom properties work, we can actually do some interesting things where we provide a custom property in like a scope theoretically, and then use that variable to do some type of calculation in line, which is wild. So let's get to it. I'm going to, yeah, let's do this. So we have this, so our default is 260 pixels, which is kind of like outside of our like system, but whatever. Um, and what I want to do here is style this as a percentage of that 200 pixels. So what I'll do is, let's see, I'm going to say height var avatar size times 0.5 and width var, whoops, I misspelled this one. Avatar size times 0.5. So this is going to be like 100 pixels, but it's going to be like a dynamic 100 pixels theoretically, which is kind of bizarre. So so we're doing this inline style. Let me make sure I have all that right. Avatar size times 5 width. Okay, I think that looks about right. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to make sure that this is like in the right like scope. So I'm actually going to put this. Actually, was it working? I really should have played around with this beforehand. So yeah, so that's 200 pixels. Oh, look at that kitty. Yeah, super cute. Again, that's placekitten.com. They have tons of super cute kittens. I love using them for all these little things. So let's see. Why isn't that working? Okay. I'm going to do it in a way that I know works. Let's say I want to put a border around one of these things, and I want it to be a percentage of the avatar's size. Oh, yeah, I didn't use calc. Thank you. So yeah, so I need to wrap the whole thing in calc. Awesome. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. That's going to be a CSS variable, which I will multiply times 0.5. Calc, close off that, times 0.5. Looks like I did something wrong here. One of them got set, but not both of them. Cal Newport. He writes some awesome books. Okay, cool. So this is pretty nifty. Like we've been able to like kind of like pull this variable out and then like kind of make some kind of calculation on that. Now you may think that that's not like particularly interesting in this case, and I would agree with you. But I want to show you another case where it is interesting. So if we have a border and we want the border to be some type of percentage of the avatar size, regardless of what size that is, we can actually use that value with calc in a really interesting way. So we'll say calc var avatar size. So we're going to pull that value out, and then we're going to multiply it times, I don't know what's going to look good, like 0.1 or something like that. Now we have to define the rest of the, define the rest of the rule. So it'll be like 1 pixel. No, let's make it like, sorry, that is the size. Solid red. There we go. So now we have this based on like a percentage of the avatar size, which is pretty sweet. So we could make this, about half the size that it is right now. We say like, oh, that's too big. Pretty cool. And so now that's going to scale with the avatar size. Avatar size, let's set that to something small, like 2 rem. Cool. Now you'll see like it shrinks and grows based on the size of the avatar. Now these don't actually have to be in the root as long as they're like in the scope of like whatever your like variable thing is. So this is gonna like just keep your eye on this one. So this is gonna change everything if I delete that. But if I go here, let's say avatar size. and set that just inside of this class, you'll see that this one still works. All the other ones are broken, unfortunately, but this one still works. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're about these days with CSS custom properties. I'm a huge fan. I like them a lot. Um, you might be wondering, like, I think you'll be pissed if I don't sort this out. So the sizing things, if we want to make sure that these sizes work now that we're actually defining this here, we're gonna have to put those lower in the or like lower in the document so that they properly override the default value. So that is something that you will need to do. Let's see. I think that's I mean that's a lot. And my time is done here today. I thank you for hanging out with us. I hope that that was useful or interesting. I'll probably be making little short egghead videos about different aspects of this. So yeah, I hope you're doing great. Have a great St. Patrick's Day in isolation. Hit me up if you want to chat or just talk about code stuff or beer or soda bread or corned beef. Peace.